Morning to you, Sharmila. And a lot has happened on the day when we were off. We had a lot of news specs to actually take a look at this morning. Be it what is happening in West Asia, the escalations and the tensions there. Apart from that, you had that impending SEBI norms coming in for F&O trading, as well as this entire shift towards China. Which actually segment of this should one focus on while actually making that move while investing in the markets?
All these news flows will affect us, whether we like it or not. And perhaps the least impact would be, I think, with the developing situation in West Asia, because, I think that for the last couple of years, we have seen sort of war situations in different parts of the world, and markets have sort of dealt with them in their own way. I think what will impact us more and what seems to be impacting us more is that this worry that you could see a shift of FI funds to China because of the developments there. That could possibly impact our markets. And then I think the SEBI notification that has come. But honestly, I think that notification was expected, and market will take that in its stride. So, and I think even the China worry, it's a matter of time before you really see, what the shift of funds is. And let's not forget that for the last many months, we've actually been saying that it is the domestic money that has been driving the market. And if that is the case, then really speaking, there should be no impact. So let's wait and see. But according to me, those two news items are what are sort of impacting market more.
Thanks, Sharmila, for breaking it down for us and explaining what really all of this really means for us then. But let's also kickstart taking all of our stock-related queries. Of course, we have Osho Krishnan, who's also joined us. But firstly, I'm going to come to you, Sharmila, because we have Gaurav, who's writing to us from Bangalore. A couple of counters on his radar then. He's talking about Reliance Industries as well as Bank of Maharashtra. For a period of about 18 months is what he's looking at. So what do you have in mind when it comes to both of these counters?
So I think Reliance really, it's a no-brainer. I think if it's an 18-month horizon, you should be thinking of holding. In fact, if possible, you should. Should be your portfolio stock. There is nothing to suggest that why it should not be a portfolio stock. There are businesses within Reliance which hopefully will get listed, and it is a sort of a company that's doing well. It rewards retail investors. So I have really. As I said, I think that should be a stock that you should consider for your longer-term portfolio. Coming to Bank of Maharashtra, possibly here there could be concern because overall we've seen a bit of concern for banks as a play, given the fact that their numbers and deposits, etc. That sort of data has not been supportive. But in terms of valuation, Bank of Maharashtra looks all right. Numbers also seem decent. So I think in the near term, you could maybe see the stock move a little lower. But honestly, if you're talking of an 18-month horizon, then it's a hold.
All right, let's move on then. Let's take the next query. A very good morning to you, Osho, as well. And the next query that I have is coming in from Vikram. He's writing to us from Pune. He wants to know about IDFC First Bank. Is it a good time for a fresh entry for the long term? How is it looking on the charts to you, Osho? IDFC First Bank. Do you think that he can look at this one for the long term?
Very good morning. Firstly, thank you for having me at the show. Well, now coming to the technical perspective of IDFC First Bank, then this counter has been witnessing some kind of corrective phase, and I expect that the short-term support is lying around the zone of 68 to 70. So that is the zone where the apt approach of accumulating this counter should be. So from a long-term perspective, yes, one can definitely start accumulating on a staggered manner around the zone of 70 to 68 odd levels, and can see a decent returns from here onwards.
Thanks, Osho, for that take coming in on IDFC First Bank. Sharmila, I'm going to come to you because we do have Veni who's writing to us from Hyderabad, a regular viewer of the show, and he's writing to us about Chola Finance, 100 shares at a buy price of 1,619. He's incurring heavy losses currently. Hold or average on this counter?
Finance holdings, is that right?
Chola Finance, yes, that's correct.
Honestly, in terms of valuations, it looks a little expensive, but the company is, the stock is one that I like. So overall, my view would be positive. Probably he'd have to extend his investment horizon a little. But yes, I think you can stay put in Chola investment.
All right, moving on then. This was coming from Chandrasekharan. He wants to know about Quest Corp, 500 shares at an average price of 845 rupees per share. He wants to know whether he should average at current levels or wait for some correction, or instead look to sell and book losses in this one. His time horizon is 1 year. Osho, what's your take coming in on Quest Corp? Are the charts indicating some sort of a recovery to creep in? Because in the last 1 month or so, this one has seen a sharp downtick.
See, overall, the cycle of this counter is very positive. It has been in a cycle of higher highs, higher lows. Recently, it has started showing some kind of profit booking, but that is the part of the cycle of making a higher lows. So, in fact, on the technical perspective, approximately 720 to 700 is the zone, which should act as a very strong support for this counter. So, even for short term to medium term horizon, one can definitely keep their holding in this counter and can see a kind of a reversal or breather around the zone of 720 to 700. So it's a hold from a medium term perspective.
So hold rating coming in on Quest Corp. Moving on, then let's also take Satya Vini's query coming in from Vishakhapatnam. HCC is what he's looking at, 1500 shares at a buy price of 52 rupees, higher than the current price, which is around 42 odd rupees. Sharmila, what is your take coming in here? Hold, exit, or average?
HCC is the stock we're talking about, right?
Yes, HCC.
I thought it was ACC that you were talking. Okay.
HCC, yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so I think once again here the valuations look a little expensive, and so I think in the near term you could see a bit of a downtrend on the stock. But if you have a decently longer horizon, I think at this price, I wouldn't sell the stock. My target on the stock would be closer to, I think, the acquisition price, which is about 50-52. So given that, I mean, I leave it to the investor, but I think this would be the wrong price to exit the stock.
All right, so that's the take coming in on HCC, that is Hindustan Construction. Let's move on then, and let's talk about this one coming from Ranjan, writing to us from Bangalore. He wants to know about Vodafone Idea. His purchase price was 16.5 rupees per share. Osho, what's your take? Should he look to average at these levels? He's been patient. He held on to it actually when the entire news flow turned positive, negative, everything for it. What's your take coming in on Vodafone Idea?
See, overall, this being a very volatile counter, on the higher end, it was having a very strong resilience around the zone of 16.5, while from a long-term perspective, the support lies around the zone of 8.5 to 9. So that is a very strong support for this counter. But again, this counter hovers with news, and there is no positive news in this counter. So overall, even if someone wants to have some kind of speculative move in this counter, then only can hold it with a stop loss of 8.5, and the time it surges beyond the zone of 14 or 14.5, one should try to exit from this counter. But overall, the technical perspective is not very much attractive in this counter. I would rather stay sidelines from Vodafone for time being.
All right, that's the take coming in on Vodafone Idea. There's a technical take coming in on Vodafone Idea. I know, Sharmila, you were hoping that I don't ask you this question, but no, I have to ask you this question. Given the fact of Vodafone Idea, you thought that things were only getting better for the telecom space, and I believe it will get better given the fact of the price hikes or the tariff hikes that you're seeing. And there's just one sort of roadblock in between, that was the Supreme Court order. But what's your take otherwise on Vodafone Idea? Do you think that this is something that one should stay put with?
So, honestly, this is not a question I'm worried about, because I've not really been in favor of this stock for the longest time. And I'll explain my reasons. Telecommunications as a space, as a sector, is something that I like a lot. I think whether it's Bharti Airtel, whether it's Reliance, we are seeing what is happening there. And more than that, what is happening there is the way we are consuming data and the way we are using our mobile telephones. So that definitely indicates that this is a sector to which is going to see an upside going forward. But the thing that goes against Vodafone, according to me, is that the fact is that you have a large debt portion to pay in a sector which requires you to have good amount of funds to invest to improve your infrastructure. We are seeing the shift that is happening from 3G, 4G, 5G, what have you, and all these require the company to make a good amount of investments. We are also seeing that they have lost subscribers. These subscribers have shifted either to Reliance or they have shifted to Airtel. So that is also something that we've been witnessing over the past year and a half. So very honestly, I've never really been positive on the stock. Yes, there was a brief period when you thought that maybe they could turn things around, but I think the recent Supreme Court judgment which you referred to has gone against them, because that again puts that whole the amount of debt that they have after paying all these taxes that they have to under question. So honestly, I mean, I think that if you have to and you should have a play in the telecommunications sector, I mean in the mobile telephony sort of sector, then it should be either Bharti or Reliance.
All right, so steer away from Vodafone Idea, and that's a take coming in from Sharmila there as well. Osha, I'm going to come back to you because Gautam is writing to us from Mumbai. 1,500 shares of United Spirits is what he has at a buy price of 965. What's your view coming in here then?
See, overall, this counter is very, very positive, has seen very strong cycles of higher highs, higher lows, is still having a very strong momentum. And if someone is already having at a buying price of below 1,000, then that's a very strong movement that we are witnessing. So stay intact with your investment. I expect that any dip, there can be a further profit booking that can be seen, but 1,500 should be acting as a very strong support for this counter. So one should stay intact with their investment, keeping 1,500 as a stop loss for short-term perspective, not for longer-term perspective.
All right.
There comes a time when your heart calls for you to arise. Plant your feet solid into the ground. Decide your own limits. And then break right through them. Become something more. It's my time to rise.